what's up? Welcome back to Simply a Better You. If you're new here, my name is Shanine and I'm glad that you could join us today. And if you are not new here, thank you for coming back to spend some time with me. So guys, it's no secret, as you can see, I'm sunburned. I am sunburned. I've been burned worse, but still, I got a little sun this weekend. We went to the Strawberry Festival and we had a wonderful time. It was so great to be out in the amazing weather that we're having here in Florida and get to walk through all the little craft booths and see everything that everybody had brought in that they're making and selling. And then of course the food. Oh, the food. It smelled so good, but really we went just for the strawberries. And of course we walked around and we enjoyed the shows. We watched a really cool dog show, which is why I am sunburned, because I was standing out in the sun baking. But we got a huge flat of strawberries and I've decided I'm gonna process half of these. So we're going to eat some of them fresh. I'm going to freeze whatever I am not going to actually can. And what I'm going to do is make strawberry jam. I'm going to walk you through the process that I will be using. I am using the recipe on Mellissa Norris's website, and she also has kind of a walkthrough tutorial on her YouTube channel. So I'm just kind of watching that, and of course I looked over the recipe. I was really looking for something that would produce a strawberry preserve, a strawberry jam. We love strawberry jelly, but the kids love that. I like the more chunkier version of it. So I'm gonna walk you through that process as I'm doing it. I have never made strawberry jelly, jam, or preserve before. I have done butters, so apple butter, peach butter, and water bathed it, canned it, but I've never done jelly, so this will be an experience for both of us. And I was looking for a recipe that didn't have quite as much sugar in it, and I will not be using pectin. So her recipe, of course, still has sugar in it, and it's still a lot of sugar, but not as much as you would generally find in the store-bought variety or some other recipes that you'll see online. If I had my choice, I wouldn't put sugar in it at all, but we're going to try to appease mom and the kids at the same time. So guys, I invite you to join me on this journey today. I hope you enjoy watching the mess that I am going to make of this kitchen. So let's get started. All right, so let's get started. I have about 8 cups of strawberries here that I am going to go ahead and clean up and trim off the tops. It is up to you if you want to remove the white hull that's in the middle of the strawberry. That's a taste preference and it is completely optional. While I am trimming off the tops of the strawberries, I am looking for any kind of bruises, blemishes, bad spots, and I'm putting those strawberries to the side. Also, you guys, I just found out that, I'm trimming off the tops of all these strawberries into my compost pile, and I was just told that you can actually take the tops of your strawberries and put them in vinegar and make a strawberry infused vinegar, which sounds amazing to me because I love to make homemade dressings. So once you have all your strawberries trimmed up, I go ahead and rinse them back off again, because as I'm touching them, there's extra seeds, there's little leaf bits and things. So I ran them back through the water again to give them a really good rinse. And then I am going to go ahead and half these strawberries so that they fit into my food processor. I didn't realize that, I'm putting a whole lot of strawberries in here, and I want them to chop up evenly and have chunks, but not huge strawberry chunks. So cutting them in half should resolve that problem. You can chop them up even more if you'd like. Just remember that when you add these to your food processor and you begin to chop them, you want to keep an eye on your berries. I like my strawberries to stay chunky in jam and preserve. If you puree this and liquefy it, you will have to cook it longer. It will take longer to set up and begin to gel as you're cooking it. So this is my first batch. So this is about 8 cups. And then I'm going to go back through and I'm going to chop up another 8 cups of strawberries. So I'll have 16 cups total. And 16 cups is about what I'm looking for to make 8 8-ounce jars. So we're going to run this batch through. I did chop my second batch up just a little bit more finer because my other one came out super chunky. And then we'll be ready to move to the pot. Okay guys, so I've got the strawberries cut up, and now what I am working on is getting the actual jam cooked and pulled together. So I've got my sugar, I've got my lemon juice and lemon zest, and we're going to combine all of that into my pot on the stove. Now while I have that going, I also have my my jars and my lids going in my water bath. They are not boiling, they are just simply, they're on a low warm, and that makes sure that, you know, they're clean jars and they're sterile, but you know, I'm keeping them in there. That also assures that my jars are not cold when I put the jam in them, and you know, you have that whole shock as far as cold to hot could crack the jars. We want them basically at the same temperature when we're water bath canning. So those are warming up and staying warm while I'm getting the jam put together. So here we go. Okay guys, go ahead and dump your strawberries into a good sized pan. Make sure you get out all your strawberry bits. This is 16 cups of strawberries. And to that, we are going to add 6 cups of sugar. Now this is white sugar. I didn't want to experiment by adding coconut sugar or any other sugar substitutes. To this, we're going to add the zest from 2 lemons and a half a cup of lemon juice. Now my lemons were not juicing for me, so I went ahead and I cut up and shredded 1 medium apple. Now the lemon in the apple is what's going to take place of the pectin. This is what's going to help your jam to gel and set up. So go ahead and stir all of this together. You want to incorporate it really well. You want your sugar to begin to dissolve and for the strawberries to start to begin to juice. And this is going to produce a really, really yummy juice because you know I had to put my fingers in it to test it. So just keep stirring and stirring. You want it all to get incorporated and to begin to break down. Once you have this mixed up really well, go ahead and turn on your heat, and you're going to want to bring this up to a boil. Now don't walk away from it. You are going to want to stir it constantly because sugar burns. So babysit that pan. Once this comes up to a boil, you're going to reduce your heat down to a simmer. And that's when I threw in my candy thermometer. Now this is my backup plan because I wanted to try the sheeting method that you use with a chilled spoon, but I wasn't really sure what I was doing or what I was looking for. So when you use a chilled metal spoon to ladle out a spoonful of jam, you hold the spoon up and you watch the way the jam drips off the spoon. If it's individual drops, the jam is not set. If it's big goops, it's almost there. If it comes off the spoon in a sheet or doesn't really drop off at all, then the jam is set and you want to go ahead and take it off the heat. If you're using a candy thermometer, then you just need to wait until it hits 220 degrees because that's the point in which your jam is going to begin to set up and gel. So I decided to go with 2 methods just so I could see what the other one entailed. Now you'll see I've got some foam here. You can scoop that off if you want, but you don't necessarily have to. I did take off a little bit of mine. Once you reach 220, go ahead and remove that pan off the stove and begin to can it. Now I am ladling my jam into hot jars. These are the jars that were sitting in my water bath canner that's just right behind my elbow there. So everything is nice and warm, and I am putting hot into hot. The same thing, you can do cold into cold, but I strongly suggest that you not do hot and cold together. You could crack something. Now I'm filling these jars up to 1/4 of an inch from the top of the jar. And you'll see me begin to go around and measure the jars. My first time through, I didn't get them quite close enough to the top, but I would rather fill them and then go back through and add just that little bit to the top than overfill them, because I have found that when you're trying to remove stuff from a jar, it can be a little on the messy side. This process was messy to begin with. I had strawberry jam everywhere. It was down sides of jars. It's all over the towel that they're sitting on. So yes, this is a messy process. Make sure you have lots of towels available, and towels that you are not completely in love with, because guys, strawberry jam does stain. So I've got my 8 jars here, and I am now going to go through and measure the tops of these jars and see where I am, and add just a little bit more to the tops to top it off. With most of your jams and jellies and things, you want it to be 1/4 inch from the top. But always follow the recipe that you're following. Now, as you can see, my little one in the background keeps popping back and forth into the kitchen. She's asking me questions, she's needing my help, but once I start this process, I really can't stop and walk away from it. I am going to make a rookie mistake here, and I didn't think about it until after the fact, but make sure all your lids and everything are clean. I did spill some on a lid, so I'm going to rinse it off real quick. But guys, I forgot to run a knife down the sides and get the bubbles out of my jars. So I'm taking some white vinegar here and wiping it around the rims of the jars just to remove any of the jam that may have slid down the sides or gotten on the top, any kind of stickiness, oils, or anything that would prevent the jar from sealing during the water bathing process. And I just use a paper towel. Nothing fancy. But you definitely want to make sure you get your air bubbles out, which I did not do, and it didn't affect my process, but honestly it could have, and it is a little bit of a rookie mistake, but I was distracted. But I'm going to go ahead and put my jars on. I am screwing them down fingertip tight. I usually screw them on and get them all done, and then I'll go back through and twist them just one small inch to the time. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm just giving it that extra little twist, not all the way around, just a quick little inch to one side. And then go ahead and place these in your water bath canner. Now you want to place these so that there is some space between the jars. You don't want them smacking against each other and possibly cracking. And this is where my OCD, of course, kicks in. Everything has to be particularly spaced, but fill them up. And you should be able to get all 8 in here with some precision moving. Okay, so I've got my jars in my water bath canner. Now, as you notice, the water is not boiling. I put it in a warm water bath. I'm gonna let this come to a boil. Then I'm going to cover it and set my timer for 10 minutes. Now, the time depends on where you live in your elevation. I'm in Florida, so you know, most of the canning books that are out there apply to my elevation that I'm at. But this is really quick. I've heard it 5 minutes. I'm gonna go 10 because that's what the Ball Cookbook says I should do. So I'm gonna follow that. They're a lot wiser than I am. And now I just have to sit here and wait for this to come to a boil. And while I am waiting, I am going to make Miss Hannah a sandwich. Now, what is really important, that when you are in the kitchen and you're doing your preserves, you're doing canning, whether it is water bath canning or your pressure canning, don't leave your kitchen. Don't leave the room, don't go do something else. Be within, you know, either eye shot or earshot of what is going on, because you can lose track of time very quickly. Definitely use a timer. It's not something that you just want to walk away from, because, you know, you can overdo it, you can underdo it, and, you know, once it's done and you can't undo it. So, you know, having to dump out a whole bunch of stuff because something happened, or, you know, the thing is if they don't seal, because I'm going to put them on the counter, if they don't seal, that means I'm passing out jelly to everybody, and it's going to keep in the fridge for a little while, and we'll go through it really fast. But that means my aunt gets jelly, the girls at church get jelly because, well, jam, preserves, because I'm not going to let it go to waste. But I really want it to work so that they all seal and they go in the cabinet. So while I am waiting for this to boil, I'm not going to leave the kitchen, but I'm going to get things set up. So I'm going to set out my towel for my jars when they're ready to go. Use a thick towel, or fold a towel in half, or a dish towel in like thirds. And I'm going to go ahead and clean up the kitchen and then finish processing the rest of these strawberries, because I still have tons left. So we like to do smoothies, and I'm going to go ahead and freeze the other half of these strawberries, and then I'm going to cut a few up and put them in a glass jar so we can eat them fresh throughout the week. So when you plan on doing a kitchen day, or you're going to do preserves and cook something that you're going to can, be prepared for this. Start with a clean kitchen. The kitchen is going to be messy. A good cook can be a messy cook, so just be prepared that there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. Get yourself a compost bowl if you're doing veggies and fruits. Have some storage containers out, and then as I'm going, I will start to clean up and just load the dishwasher. But, you know, be prepared that you're not going to have a picture perfect kitchen when you're done cooking or while you're cooking. I mean, I've had to stop 3 or 4 times and feed kids. So the kitchen's going to be a mess. It can be cleaned up really quick. Most of this is going to go in the dishwasher, and I'm going to start on dinner. After these were done boiling for 10 minutes, I went ahead and turned the heat off and let them sit for 5 minutes before I pulled them out, per the directions that Mellissa Norris gives in her recipe. I don't know if you guys can hear, but each one of these are starting to pop or ping, which means they are sealing. I haven't really had to do it this fast. They're popping as I'm pulling them out. Okay, so it is really, really important that you allow these to sit for 12 hours, minimum 24 hours preferred. Don't tip them, don't move them, don't wrestle them around, put them in a safe spot out of the way. You take them from your water bath to the counter on a towel and they get to stay there. Okay, and then of course you want to listen for the little ping and the pop to make sure that they are sealing. If any of them don't, or you question the seal, throw it in the fridge. That way you can at least use it. Other than that, I think we did pretty good. I heard each one of them pop. Like I said, I've never heard any of my jars pop that fast, but it sounds like each one of them sealed. I'm gonna go ahead and let these sit overnight, and I will go ahead and dry off any excess water on them after the 24 hours and then put them in the cupboard. Now, you guys can probably hear my dishwasher running in the background, but I did have enough jelly left over technically, I think I've got 2 jars left. I've got 4 jars left, but I probably would have had enough to fill 1 jar, and you know, this was just hanging out in my cupboard, so I went ahead and filled this up the rest of the way, and it's gonna go in the fridge, and that will be our jelly for probably the next 2 weeks. My girls love the strawberry jelly, and they eat it on, you know, flour tortillas, they eat it with crackers, they eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So it's just a nice quick snack. It keeps them out of the junk food, even though, yes, this is loaded with sugar, but it's just nice to have. So that one's gonna go in the fridge, and the rest of these I will put up tomorrow. But I am still working on, of course, putting all of my strawberries in the freezer bags to get them frozen. I have not ordered my like the seal meal. Hang on. I have not ordered the seal meal or, you know, the pressure sealed bags yet. That'll be my next adventure when I get there. I did have one. I used to buy my meat in bulk and divide it up and do the individual sealed bags, and I got away from it and figured we weren't going to use it, so I got rid of it. Y'all, I sent my seal a meal to Goodwill. Knowing what they cost now, I feel like an absolute fool, because that one was actually given to me by my parents because they weren't using it, and I cannot believe I gave it away. But that's okay, we're gonna make do. I am going to go ahead and just put these strawberries in gallon-sized freezer bags. Try to get as much air out of them as I can. You know, we make so much, you know, yogurt and smoothies and stuff throughout the week. I can even thaw these and make like a quick, you know, syrup to go with cookies or to put over ice cream. You know, the girls like to eat them frozen. So they're not gonna go to waste, especially if they're in the freezer, and they're quick and easy to grab and just eat. So I've got 2 jars of fresh strawberries that we'll eat. These are the ones the kids can buy. They don't buy. These are the ones the kids can grab and eat. I've already cut the tops off of them. These are like the second jar we'll go through, and I'll cut them up. That way they don't have to worry about playing with knives. But I'm almost done. I've got 1 basket left. And I've got, you know, just a quarter of my sink full of strawberries here that I am chopping up, and then we'll be good. But I want to share something with you guys. Of course, you know, it's strawberry season and we can go up and grab flats of strawberries, but it's not the same. It's not the same as being able to walk into your backyard or on your porch and pick your own strawberries. Check that out. Our own strawberries. I've already picked a few off, but oh, I see a little ant. But we've got our few berries on there. We are going to pick up some more plants and fill our entire green stalk up. My kids have been out here playing in the dirt, so my patio is covered. But we're gonna fill our entire green stalk up. I've got a little bit of lettuce growing off the back still. But the kids just love, they can go outside and pick the strawberries. Honestly, I think I did it for me. I love that I can walk on my back porch and grab a strawberry, because there's like 2 or 3 that are ripe, and I'll run out there and get them and wash them off and eat them. But we're gonna fill the whole entire green stalk up, and I'm thinking of getting a second green stalk. I'm waiting on them to go on sale. They always do a Mother's Day sale, and then I can generally find a coupon code on one of the gardeners' websites and use it, and that way I can get it at least under $100, and then we'll have a second one out there that we can do strawberries in. But yeah, that is today. And guys, I mean, thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I'm really hoping that this worked out. If not, we're going to have a whole lot of stuff to use for ice cream and cookies and cakes and yogurt, and we're just going to be strawberried out by the end of summer. But my hopes are high. I'm thinking this did work. It thickened up really great. I used the candy thermometer to make sure it was at the right temperature. I think we did good. I hope so. But as always, guys, I thank you today for joining me on my journeys, and I bless you on yours.